but I just heard like in general it's like raising the age of like the minimum age for I guess people to be put in like juvenile or no, adult prisons is like 18 instead of 17.
To avoid children being placed in adult prisons.
Right now there are underage minors that are put into adult prisons with adult inmates.
I know that it is a bill that Nikki Haley passed in 2016, but it's like supposed to be funded in July 2019, and it's like DJJ requested like $55 million to build new detention centers and hire new people and stuff. To like, it's like we're trying to raise the age from 17 to 18. So if like kids are like, let's say someone get arrested for a petty theft for a Snickers, for like stealing a Snickers bar, they won't get charged as an adult if they're under the age of 18.
The Raise the Age campaign is a campaign to raise the age to send kids to adult detention centers from whatever it is now to 18.
Well, what I've heard is that it's to raise the minimum age for youth that are incarcerated. So basically, instead of being a 17-year-old being sent to prison as an adult, it would raise it to 18, which is a legally adult age. It baffles me. I don't understand why in their right mind they would think that a 17-year-old. I tell you what, the older I get, the more my position on all that softens. If you had asked me about 20 years ago, I'd been like, yeah, throw them in jail. That's where they belong. But after, especially after teaching now, I mean, kids are just kids.
I know people with far more experience than he or she, I guess. And I feel like that's almost putting him more at risk, to be honest. Not to like push a stigma of like criminals or anything like that, but a prison's not the same as like being with your peers in like a facility. It's like punishment, and you're with these people who are perceiving that punishment differently than you are, who probably either care or don't care. But I think when you're that young, being confined like that is probably not. It doesn't work the same. It's not the same. It doesn't have the same effect on an adult than it would like a child, and that's even debatable, to be honest. But
I think that they basically have to grow up really fast. They don't get to feel safe. They don't really get a big chance to basically grow as people. And it's just scary. I mean, to be in prison at all when you're a kid is awful, and then even worse to be in adult prison.
I can't imagine being 15 and being placed in the same place as someone who's maybe 50 or 60. Just the simple differences, especially if you're a female. I guess that's because that's something I would understand more going through just like normal teenage hormonal issues, especially with like periods and things of that nature. That would be something that's very difficult to face with people who are so much older, strangers at that.
Definitely sexual harassment, which is the same for anyone who goes to jail or to prison. And I also think that when you're under the age of 18, and even when you're 18, when you're tried as an adult, even going through the trial is a tough process, but then being a youth in an adult prison around adults who have committed probably far worse crimes or committed different crimes or even similar crimes, it changes your mentality, it changes the way you think, it changes the way you process.
I think exposure to higher amounts of stress that a child that is still someone under the age of 18, even though they have committed adult crimes, may not mentally be in a capacity to be able to be in that type of environment without a more negative outcome within their future life path.
Well, first off, they're not in an area where they're comfortable with people around their age. They're like they're around adults. I don't like, it's like there's a whole power dynamic thing that goes along with it because, you know, even though you're in prison and you're like somewhat equal, you're really not equal because they're your superiors at the end of the day. Yeah.
At that age, from what I've seen, from my year and a half, almost 2 years now teaching high school, and you know, I've got 4 children at home. They're very susceptible to just, I mean, they have role models. And what their role models and people and adults in authority or people over them, people they respect, they hang on their every word. And they're watching and learning.
The guards don't see you as a teenager, they'll just see you as an adult, so their treatment of you is different. I guess that leads to a different issue with conditions in prisons as well. But when you're placed in like a solitary confinement, I mean, I'm sure that has some effect on you, especially when humans are social beings. And I think that's something that will affect the teenagers as well as like everyone in prison, just those cruel treatments that they face.
They probably have, I don't know, they probably grow, I don't want to say that, but honestly, they probably have grown up too fast. I don't know, you don't go through like the normal things like kids usually go through. And how do you like, I mean, even for like people who are like adults coming out of prison, like you're alienated because you're like, oh, he has a record. Mm-hmm. But then off the bat, like haven't started a career, probably like haven't started like a higher education, anything like that. Like you're already kind of many more steps behind than everyone else, so.
Absolutely. The education that they got might not be very high quality. Depending on how long they were in, the technology might be completely different. They might not have the support system that they used to have because everybody that they knew just stopped communicating with them while they were in prison.
I'd assume that they'd have a higher rate of going back into prison. I can't remember the official term for this.
It's recidivism, but yeah, you're exactly right.
Yes, I'd assume that would be higher just because they didn't really have the opportunity to really learn from their mistake. They're just sort of punished.
Oh, like because they won't know how to basically become one with society again because it's like they've been brainwashed into like this certain routine, and then when they get back out there, they're like, wow, the real world, I don't know what this is, who is she, you know? And it's like time stopping.
Well, again, I mean, the influences they're having. I mean, with the people they are there, maybe that they look up to, the people they respect, the people that, you know, they're teaching them things, they're asking them questions about how to commit crimes. I don't know. I mean, I think it's education, isn't it?
Especially if you transition from childhood to adulthood in prison, you know, for numerous years, you're going to be behind the curve in ways that are going to make you feel really vulnerable. And being in prison, you're not allowed to express vulnerability in ways that are productive or healthy. So you're probably not going to know how to handle or deal with those emotions as they come once you've gotten released. And it's just going to be compounded when you're out in public trying to navigate the new world.
I don't want to highball it too much, but I kind of don't really have that much faith.
Right.
I'm just gonna, let's say 2,000.
50,000?
At least a couple thousand, maybe in the tens of thousands.
I have no idea, but it's probably too many.
Over 200,000. Because that's a lot of money. You know what we can do with $55 million? We can clean up the pollution around the paper mill. Yeah. $55 million to build new prisons? What's the matter with them? Are they sick?
But I would suggest that along with that comes outward programs, meaning that more development within the prison to have programs that allow them to change their path, their future, their life around versus just building another prison. Because a prison will contain the situation, but it doesn't mean it will change the situation.
It's unnecessary. There shouldn't be a need. There's no need for more youth prisons. I feel like if the things that the needs that the kids had to meet through illegal means were met, if those needs were met, and these kids had resources and adequate attention and care being given to them, they wouldn't resort to the whatever violent or non-violent crimes they're committing.
See, I don't think people should be put into prison so often as they are anyways. So I feel like the answer isn't necessarily building prisons for youth. It's trying to make it so that they're rehabilitated. If they have anger issues, maybe they get some counseling on that. When you're 16 years old or 17 years old and you've done something like that, I remember being 17 years old. I was a kid. I didn't know that much. And to make one big mistake and then like you're in jail, that's kind of rough, even for adults. I think the US has too big of a culture of imprisonment. We imprison more people per capita than any other country, which is ridiculous. I think it's good in the capacity that they would have a safer space to be in if they have to be incarcerated. But I don't think it's like great that this is something that has to be done.
But to like preemptively say, in order to do this, we need 55 million. That's like just, well, first of all, that's banking on kids being convicted, and then that's not helping the bigger issue, which is what I was saying I didn't want to drift away from. But like,
Absolutely.
drift 2 is like, hey, how about we don't put these kids in behind, buildings? How about we help them in like therapy and rehabilitate them outside of those facilities?
Instead of prisons, I'm sure there are community programs that they could put into place that would be much more beneficial. That way the children are like still in an environment that they're comfortable with like family and friends and just the town that they live in. At the same time, they do have to face consequences.
Well, we can do community programming and stuff. We can like help them get their GED. We can help them get their education. We can help them. We can provide them with jobs.
It's not cheap. I know it's not cheap, which is why you should invest in any prisons.
Maybe $100.
Is it like 150, even more?
I would guess something like $400, $500. How close am I? Andy.
For one day, I would say probably $450 per person.
I'm sure it's far cheaper.
Maybe like $100 a day?
Program, I think it would cost maybe about $50, $75.
Not only do I think those community programs would have a better psychological effect on the children, but it would also help the state government save money.
Well, first, kids should not be put in adult prisons. Adults, with certain, depending on the circumstance of the crime, which I know it's like, oh, that opens the floodgates, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Humanly, like ethically, mandatory minimums don't make any sense. People shouldn't be put in prison and like just left there to not be like rehabilitated. Children, the same thing. And we need to stop using, and there's like a show of that, but I didn't watch it, but we need to stop using children as like banks, like just kids who obviously are in need of something and like banking on like an investment. So.
Now look, there's such a wide gap. It's like to inflict harm on children is costing the state more money, and they would rather invest in something that's harmful than to invest in alternatives to detention and alternatives to incarceration for kids. And it doesn't make any sense, like fundamentally.
I don't want to see my best friend in jail. I don't want to see my best friend in jail.
I don't want to see my sister in jail. I don't want to see my sister in jail.
I don't want to see my brother in jail. I don't want to see my brother in jail.
I don't want to see my sister in jail. I don't want to see my sister in jail.
I don't want to see my classmate in jail. I don't want to see my classmates in jail.
Kids don't belong in cages.
Kids don't belong in cages.
Kids don't belong in cages.
Kids don't belong in cages.